What's up and welcome back to Interpreting the Stars, where today we're talking about the 2020 horror film Come Play. My fascination with horror has grown more and more throughout the years, and even now I feel like finding a truly good horror film is kind of a game, actually. It often falls down to the concept alone to win the game, so you have all these horror films out there that rely heavily on their concept. Movies like Lights Out, Don't Breathe, or even Ouija if you think about it. Take out the concept and what do you get? Not much. Usually movies like this are lacking in character development, in growth, even plot. It's usually this premise that the film's gonna circle around for hours just to get a quick scare out of the audience. But what about Come Play? Will it change things up and become an instant classic for horror fans like myself, or will it remain in Hebitude? Let's get cracking. This review was brought to you by the word of the day, Hebitude, the state of being dull. Come Play is definitely about a concept. There's one reason and one reason alone as to why people are going to watch this movie, and that's for Larry, an otherworldly and supernatural creature that lives in a young boy's phone and tablet and is trying desperately to escape the confines of this world, break into ours, and take the boy back to his world because he's lonely. I'll admit, even though it is a gimmick, Larry's honestly pretty cool, and it presents a lot of interesting, thought-provoking stuff for how bad screens are for you. One of the biggest 2021 New Year's resolutions I have is to cut back on screen usage because I've noticed the more time I spend away from screens, the happier I get. And this film, or Larry specifically, feels like a physical manifestation of the ugliness, depression, and yes, loneliness that can be found with too much screen time. Larry's entire creature design is beautifully disturbing as his entire body, voice, and behavior is 100% formed by loneliness and what that can do to a person. He also works as an extension to the boy in the film, who is a nonverbal autistic child named Oliver. Oliver, like Larry, feels very misunderstood and alone in his efforts to be what his mother wants him to be, which is normal. And as an autism dad, it hurts me to see some of the attitudes this mother has towards her son, but at the same time I understand that it's incredibly human to have feelings like this, and for there to be a real struggle in communication on both sides. Weirdly enough, the biggest praise that I have to say about this film is the subtle messages that it is trying to convey. Most horror films honestly don't have this kind of thing, so when they do, I kind of can't help but praise it when that happens. I also think that the kid who plays Oliver did an okay job presenting nonverbal autism. That's a very delicate thing to do, especially in today's day and age, but at the same time, I think they kind of over-Hollywoodized Oliver's growth and development. Without giving too much away, I think they wanted to present his autism as a thing that could potentially be overcome. His mother can't stand that he won't look her in the eyes or have a conversation with her, and throughout the film you get this kind of idea that he can overcome these hurdles and eventually become normal. Now, maybe that wasn't the case, and maybe I'm just looking into it too closely, but I don't think autism needs to be something to overcome. Instead, I think the correct word should be embraced. Those with autism need the right tools in order to succeed in life, but their differences to us is not a bad thing. I understand the need for eye contact and communication, but they show their love in different ways. And for the film to be so focused in on the two ways that neurotypical individuals show their affections didn't do autism many favors. It wanted to have a typical movie formula in that regards, and hence wasn't willing to take very many risks. Past that, I don't think the film was very scary. I mean, the look and the sound of Larry is decent, as is the building of suspense throughout the film, but I don't think it'll have a lasting effect, and that's mostly because a huge chunk of it definitely does follow around a gimmick. There's a lot of repetition in this thing, a lot of moments where they keep reading this story about Larry, and it starts to get a little bit old because nobody's really trying to do anything about Larry other than hide him away, which again is great for messages that it wants to tell. But if we're solely talking about plot progression, it's problematic. Let's go ahead and break down my final score for a second from a technical, unbiased perspective. I think this pretty much falls down to Larry himself, who I actually believe is a very strong villainous creature. He looks great, he sounds great, and what he represents is seriously thought-provoking. But the plot is repetitious and overall lacking because it's not really about anything substantial. This score is 70%. As for my personal bias score, I honestly had a good time with the movie. I found it to be a good time even though it's mostly a gimmick thing. I really liked how metaphorical Larry was with certain things, but at the same time I feel like the autism in the film wasn't approached as it probably should have been. This score is 76%. When we average out the two scores together, we come to the final rating of 73%, 73 out of 100 possible stars, or a C letter grade. The movie isn't half as bad as I thought it could have been. It's fairly decent actually, but let me know your thoughts on Come Play in the comment section down below. Did it spook you out? Did you think Larry was pretty cool? Or was this entire thing kind of mediocre for you? Let me know, and as for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit the like, subscribe button, and bell to be notified when I come out with my next review. And until then, peace out.
Dave examines movies we just watch for fun. Davey is the expert. He is the #1 critic that I go to when I need a movie pick. Thanks for joining up with us.